Hello there, and welcome to episode 66 of CUZZO-OP. I am one of the hosts here, Arrow, aka Willie, and as usual, we've got the other host here,
Isaiah. What's good? We back. Another one. Star Wars month, baby.
Happy Star Wars month, you know? We here to talk about another animated show that has recently just been released and concluded. You know, last week we talked Tales of the Empire. Very, back and forth, lovely conversation, about something very small. Versus here, we got The Bad Batch, season 3, episode 66. If you know, you know. And
if you know, you know.
The series finale, the series final season, 3 season, that's it, of the animated show that followed up the Clone Wars with the team that was introduced in the final season of the Clone Wars. So this one was interesting. The Bad Batch was an interesting one. So overall, we're here to talk Bad Batch, primarily focusing on season 3, but this whole episode is just the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
So to kick it all off, I'm gonna dive right in, bro. The Bad Batch, Did you ever go back and watch their episodes from Clone Wars to see where they came from and their origin, or is it kind of just like you got the gist of it from the video we watched? Let me dive in on new Star Wars.
Well, hey, I didn't go back to Clone Wars, but Steven, shout out Slock, was recently on the show, and he did talk about seeing them along his journey through Clone Wars, and that was cool to hear. But nah, I haven't gone back. The only back I've gone is to go back and see Caleb Doom. But at the end of the day, I get the gist, and I understand the importance of this batch of clones. So I was like, whatever, you know what I mean? But
okay, yeah. Since you brought it up, bro, number one for me, I was there when season 7 was when it was dropping. Like COVID about kind of just started hitting. But, season 7, I had gotten ready for it, and they were the first group of episodes. So I was like, okay, this is a cool little group that we got going here. And it was real cool to see them. So when it was announced that they were getting their own show, I was like, okay, that's going to be interesting. I'm interested to see what that's about and how these, because, some characters, low-key, they only work good when you see them in small doses. So let's see what that's about. And then the next year, the show premiered 2021, and they were like, yo, yeah, here's Bad Batch season 1. And the premiere happened because, you brought it up. The premiere, one of the best episodes of animated Star Wars, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And you get to see your boy, bro.
Oh, yeah, you know that. Come on, man.
Yeah, that was exciting for me. It may have retconned the book. Oh well, it sucks. But, it was cool to see that because it is a lingering piece, a tether to a different part of Star Wars, and we get to see how the Bad Batch were affected by Order 66, and we get to meet one of the main characters on this show, Omega, and we start this thing that has lasted until season 3 with the Bad Batch, with one of their members walking away and going through their own journey. And the reason why I feel like talking about this first episode the way I just have is because I want to point out that it still is one of my favorite episodes of this show. And my relationship with the Bad Batch has been, it's cool to watch, but I don't know if I care.
Okay.
Until season 3 dropped.
Oh, interesting.
Season 1 was a back and forth for me. I'm one of those guys that stay up till 3 a.m. to watch the newest Star Wars drop. About halfway through season 1, I kind of tapped out.
I could understand that.
And then season 2, I definitely tapped out. About 4 episodes in, I tapped out.
Oh yeah, nah, for sure.
And then season 2 tried to bring me back in with another really phenomenal episode, but overall it couldn't. So I say, let's see if season 3 could do it. And what I'll say right now is that it did. I was there, and it was phenomenal. But for seasons 1 and 2 specifically, it was a fun watch. But I didn't necessarily care about any of the characters, to be honest with you. Nobody was really gripping to me from the team.
That's fair.
So that was my relationship, bro. So with all this being said and talking about highs and lows, what was your relationship with the Bad Batch for seasons 1 and 2?
Yeah, I think for me, bro, what I liked about the Bad Batch is the same thing we spoke about last week about how the Empire, the Tales of the Empire, is not as much about the characters as much as it's about this darkness that the Empire casts over the galaxy being embodied by these two characters, and how what that Empire stands for and their presence in the galaxy, how impactful it can be in a negative sense. And I think that the Bad Batch is it's a play on word in its title, right? We know it's the Bad Batch of defective clones, but they are a representation of the heart of clones from a different perspective than we got in the Clone Wars. And I think I saw it as that right from the beginning. I knew that I wasn't going to watch this and find a Kanan or an Ezra. I knew that wasn't going to happen on this one. And I guess because my expectations were set like that, it helped me to appreciate it. I can't imagine staying up till 3 a.m. to watch a new episode and it be like just cannon fodder, because that is what a lot of these episodes do feel like. But I also would be remiss if I said that there aren't a couple Rebels episodes that feel like cannon fodder. But at the end of the day, those episodes in Rebels, they build up their character development, so they're worth sticking through. The smallest adventure where they're doing something so silly. And in this show, it speaks to the grandiosity of what's going on and how Order 66 is rippling through the entire galaxy. And so I think in that regard, I was down for the ride and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching these. I love watching Dave Filoni use yet another medium, another story, another set of characters to get a furthered picture of what it means to be in Star Wars. That's what I was geeked out over that, so seeing Doom and knowing who he is now and going back and watching the first episode and seeing Balaba push him away, you watch it and you're like, damn, that shit is fire.
Rhymes.
And it rhymes. And that's why we can do 4 or 5 episodes in the month of May of Star Wars content. And Bad Batch doesn't like lose out, and the fact that it all rhymes and it all connects and it all makes it better. So I think that's kind of the perspective I have on Bad Batch. It's not like, oh man, groundbreaking TV, you got to watch this. And it isn't something I would say like if this was our one-on-one episode getting into Star Wars, I would say watch this. I wouldn't say that. But for Star Wars month, yeah, season 2, I like season 2 as well. Season 2, I thought, when it comes to this idea of like phasing out the clone army and the introduction of the stormtroopers, now when I see stormtroopers elsewhere in the future of the storyline, I'm like, I understand it a little bit more. And then that's the thing with season 3, which we'll dive into tonight. I'm on record this month talking about when are we going to get into fleshing out what was introduced in the sequel trilogy. And this season starts tapping on some of that.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that a lot. Shout out to EK. I like that a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Palpatine in season 2 was the heavy hitter for me because I love to see whenever he's doing some devious shit.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And I always like the episodes that showed me what is this Republic turning to the Empire look like.
Yeah.
Cody becoming a grayed out regular trooper, going AWOL. Who knows what happened to that? Because they didn't even answer that question in this show, right? But I think it was always cool to see the kind of droplets that they were giving.
Yeah.
But I like what the new season kind of leaned into in terms of tone and atmosphere.
It actually was innovative. I felt like it was innovative.
And so,
yeah.
I mean, let's talk season 3 because basically we kind of said the same thing. We both like we're there for it.
Yeah.
But for me, again, I'm only gonna speak for myself. And it wasn't necessarily the highest favored thing for me.
Sure.
But season 3 starts and they're like, yo, I think it was 3 episodes they dropped. He's a 3 episode premiere or was it a 2 episode premiere? I don't even remember.
No, you would know more than me.
They dropped them, and I watched them at 3 a.m. And I was like, all right. They shot 3 for 3. I don't even know if Bad Batch ever shot 3 for 3 before with me. So let's see.
So it's
from those first 3 episodes, I said, Omega, I love her. I didn't really care. Yeah, she was cool or whatever. Not dislike, because there are people out there that disliked her. I was like, whatever. Nah, I was like, okay, Omega's dope.
Why? Why do you like Omega?
I mean, from those first 3 episodes alone, it put her into a position where I think she was able to show her strengths. Where, I mean, let me put it like this, bro. You know, like when parents or older siblings kind of just always are around you, and so they never get to see you for who you truly are.
Sure.
They instead just see you as like what they want you to be and what they're raising you to be.
Yeah, the role you play.
They don't get to see your strengths because they don't give you the opportunity to really showcase that.
Yeah.
I feel like I got a peek into who Omega was and could be when she was on Tantus. When she was alone, waiting for her brothers to come for her, how she had to kind of maneuver and survive. I like that look into who Omega was without the Bad Batch around. Because they were molding her, but there's also more in there that you get to see when she interacts with Crosshair. And stuff like that. So that was cool. The atmosphere of the whole place alone also just is kind of scary. It was kind of like very eerie. So I like the tone. The tone felt good. And it, I guess, allowed me to connect with her more under that scary atmosphere. Like, yo, you're under super surveillance. I connected with Crosshair a lot during those episodes.
I liked his arc in the season, man. And I wasn't really rocking with him on the back end of season 1, I'll be honest. Season 2 as well. So, yeah.
And then to switch over to the Bad Batch and how they are after the death of Tech, as well as losing Omega, I'm also like, okay, they kind of cool. Like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be honest, I still don't know if I really much care for anyone outside of Omega.
Fair.
But I enjoyed the moments. This season made me appreciate the characters a little bit more, to the point where I'm like, yeah, they cool. Yeah. Like, I would get a poster of them hanging up behind me. Before this, I don't know about that. But after this season, I was like, okay, yeah, sure. But those first 3 episodes did work for me. How about you? I mean, you could feel free, talk about whatever you feel like you need to talk about. But those first 3 episodes, I think, were major in shaping what I was hoping for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And it pulled through.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, the relationship that Omega has with Crosshair from the end of season 2 into the beginning of this season. It switched. There's a tonal switch in terms of Crosshair. Like I was like interested in why we continue to follow his storyline on the other end of him betraying them in season 1. And then they've grown this and drawn this thing out into something that continues to talk about the manipulation of a clone, that, mentally it feels like he's supposed to be in accordance with Order 66, but then knowing that in his heart, that's not, it's a battle of the mind and the heart that they continue to have. So it makes sense that Omega, who in my opinion is the heart of the group, as human as it gets for all of the batch, it was cool to see them kind of have that arc for them. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it a lot. I also like Omega having a sister. I like Omega navigating season 3 with that concept. That drop at the end of season 2 was cool. I like that. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you. And so that was something that I appreciated. And yeah, man, I think Omega is supposed to be the QB, or the, when a football team, somebody has the ball and the rest of the team are defending as the runner's trying to get to the end zone. I think Omega's the one that needs to get to the end zone. She has the ball in her hands. And by the ball, I mean the hope, the idea of there being a bright future outside of just being a dismantled and disenfranchised clone. I think it's she symbolizes that the most, and they do a great job at painting that out this season. Do I care for the little nuances of what happened in this season, episode by episode? Like I said in the beginning, not really. I'll be honest, not really. Like, it's like, it's not like, again, when I'm watching Ahsoka and I'm seeing dudes die, or I'm seeing like, I hope they didn't die. Like, I wasn't feeling like that. It wasn't like I'm emotionally gripped. It's more so like, damn, Star Wars is magical. That's really where I'm at with the whole show, you know? And I think Omega, down to the conclusion that they suggest, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, she's sewed into that dynamic as best as it gets. You know what I mean? She sees so much for such a young age. We talk about Ahsoka and how she was a product of war, and she was a child fighting out there, killing all these, like going stupid dumbo on the front lines. Like, and then Omega's a child, bro. Like Omega's seen a lot of battle. And I don't know, man. I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with that. Right. Because what are we gonna do with that?
Right. She's a child shaped by the Empire.
Exactly.
That's cool. That's cool, right? Because we've seen it how many times? I mean, we've seen the whole original trilogy. Luke is a child, but shaped by the Empire. He's on Tatooine. Like, he's a little bit far removed. Yeah. Leia, well, she's the higher up. She's part of the rebellion day one. She didn't have to make that choice low key for herself. Like, Facts. That's Bail Organa, Jimmy Smits right there. Yeah, so
it's in her blood.
With this, it's like, oh, Omega, she could kind of be like a Ezra. Not that it's the same, but there's someone here that's a fighter that never got to fight. And now she's being provided that for, like, right here. Like, here you go. Like, not even, she doesn't need to go looking for it. It's just who she is because she's a clone.
Right.
It's default on site for her, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is also that with her positioning in the overall Star Wars universe as this special, maybe high midichlorian count clone.
Yeah.
There's a whole other layer to her that we as an audience don't even get to know. And is it a good thing or a bad thing that I want to talk about? Because it could be holding her back from us caring more, maybe. For me, not knowing why the Empire wants her, I would say I was disappointed that it's not necessarily as clear. And I know there's probably going to be more stories that talk about it more and that go more in depth. We understand Mandalorians talking about this stuff, and we know they're dealing things with Grogu, so maybe that's the same boat. Maybe I just hope that my answers come sooner rather than later, if at all. But I do wonder if that's affected my feelings on the Omega and the overall Bad Batch. But I mean, we always talk about, do you really need to know? Is knowing important? Is it not important? That's something we talk about a lot here.
I think with Star Wars, no. I'm telling you, it's so much more about the journey than it is the destination. And I think that in a day and age where everyone wants a universe and everyone wants to have multi-threaded storylines, Marvel, I'm talking to you, has overshot in the destination department. I think they've spoiled this idea of like, all the story leads to this. And that's never been Star Wars' name of the game. Star Wars is not about the punchline. It's often about the beauty of the setup. And there's a lot in it. And I think that Bad Batch has an opportunity for her in that regard when it comes to Omega's storyline, And I think we had to trust that with Ezra and him disappearing at the end of Rebels, season 3. And was it season 3? Season 5? Season 4. And it was worth the pay. We didn't know what was going to come. It was just trust the Force. And honestly, it was kind of fire because it's meta. It's kind of meta. You know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah.
But I think maybe for me, again, I think if it is about the journey, then Bad Batch's journey didn't do enough for me.
Yeah, I can hear that. I hear that.
So, I mean,
but could it do enough? Like I look at, again, I'm looking at Bad Batch through the analytical eyes of other pieces of Star Wars content, TV shows in particular. I'm watching Young Jedi Adventures with my daughter, and it's the same feel with Bad Batch. It's like, this cool for Star Wars and for my daughter generationally, but you're all getting clapped. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's ironic. You've seen the memes. People are like, oh, Star Wars jet. And then it's like, no. You know what I mean? Like, Order 66 gonna come, episode 66. Are you tapped in? Are you awake? Hello, it's episode 66. But all that being said, it's like, not everything needs to be groundbreaking journey. That's also a beautiful thing about this season and this series. It's just a little, we in here.
It's a found family show.
Yeah, we in here.
It's a found family show, and I give it its props.
Yeah,
I just think it never really decided what kind of show it wanted to be.
Fair.
When the one episode is a 10 out of 10 easily, and the next one falls to a 4 and then a 5.
Sure. But some people feel like that about Clone Wars, bro.
But with Clone Wars, it's an anthology show that just so happened to focus more on characters often. And at the end of the day, I mean, the best episodes of the Bad Batch, in about half the cases, aren't because of the Bad Batch.
Right.
That's not good to me.
But again, bro, that's almost like an anthology pillar. Like I watch Mad Max movies, and though Tom Hardy's a great actor, it's not his best acting moments, because they need someone dependable to play this character who the world he's in is the story, not him as the character. We find very little about him as a character, and we find so much more about Valhalla and the way the cars were, and like, you find out about all these other things around him, but him being steady as a concept allows you to have a vehicle to navigate the world through. And so it's like, yeah, I feel you, bro.
I mean, I'll hear that, but Clone Wars is overall. Rebels is rebellion overall. Bad Batch in name already is this group. And so when Commander...
It's leftovers, dog. They're leftovers.
When Commander and that's how I feel that they were still on their own show.
I feel you.
So...
I respect that.
For all of the season, I'm like, they're doing things where I'm caring about these characters now because Omega cares about them. So now I'm living through Omega. So I think season 3's highest strength for me was the character of Omega. Making her talk against Hunter and say, Crosshair gotta be here. You need to trust them. Because then when Crosshair and Hunter start working out their beef, I'm like, you know what? I like that. I like that it's not easy. And they're still gonna butt heads. I like that at the end of the day, Omega and their all mutual care for Omega means that they need to trust one another, even if they're uncertain that they should or not.
Right.
Because Omega trusts you, so I mean, I got to also.
Yeah.
And...
But they're just clones, bro.
But what does that mean?
They're just clones, Like, I feel you. Is at the end of the day, it's like you walk away and it's just a couple of defective clones, It's not. I'm not losing sleep over this show. I'm not standing up in front of the TV like, oh shit, what's gonna happen next? It didn't do that for me, And we haven't done ratings for some of the other things we talked about, but like, if I had to give a rating to the show, I'd only give it like a 6.5, 7 out of 10.
I would give it a 7. I would give it a 7.
It's cool. It's cool.
Right. It's cool.
But it doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 at the same time.
I agree with that also. I fully agree with that statement also. I don't think it needs to be a 10 out of 10. But I'm just saying, for a show that took me on a ride for what? 47 episodes.
Yeah, it's 16 plus 16.
I could probably count maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah.
That I'm probably gonna go back to and watch.
Fair. Fair.
Which it's gonna always be like that with some TV shows, you know? At the end of the day, Bad Batch was a fun watch. It was a fun watch. But maybe there will be something out there in the future, which is also part of the magic of Star Wars.
Right. It takes us back.
That'll bring me back.
That's right.
And appreciate other things a little bit more. You know?
And that is where season 3 with Project Necromancer went crazy for me. You know, because I hated Rise of Skywalker. Go listen to the extra. We got an extra out. It came out about a week and a half ago.
Even with Kanan in it, bro? Even though you hear Kanan, bro?
Yes. I didn't appreciate that movie, but this season tried to say, all right, but it isn't exempt from the Star Wars magic, though, even if you didn't like it. And I said, And I said, shout out EK earlier for those who were wondering why, because we were talking in the extra comments on YouTube about the fact that it's going to take a daring amount of courage on Filoni's part to dive into the mess that is the sequel trilogy and try to make it rhyme. And here he is making it rhyme. Now Palpatine's appearance and presence in that movie doesn't feel like Deus Ex Machina in a negative sense, because we're getting some pieces that make sense as to why, there's this cloning happening, trying to make it happen with Palpatine. Oh, so now these clones who were deficient, it's kind of poetic too, bro. If you really think about it, like they went from making clones off of Django. They folded on a couple defective Johns. Their own creative failures is what led to the Bad Batch even existing, why they were immune to Order 66. And it's that same batch of defective clones that get to witness the clone of the most defective storyline in the entire Star Wars line. That shit is crazy. I love it. I loved it. I was like, all right, I'll give it to you, because if there's any place to start giving it to me, if they had tried to expound on that storyline in the middle of like Ahsoka or like in the middle of Mando, I would have been like, nah, get the fuck out of here. I'm not hearing none of it. I'm not hearing none of it right now. We're playing with too many important players, too many important concepts for you to try tangling with this right now. But in Bad Batch, very safe and actually innovative way to poke and prod the sequel trilogy. I like that. I liked it a lot. I appreciated it. And when I clicked it off on the last episode and I went to go watch the analysis videos, I said, you know what? Omega, I hope to see you soon, shawty. I hope I see you soon, shawty. I hope I see you soon. And when I see you, it's going to make me come back to this show. I know it. I have no doubts. At least season 3, I'm going to be back. I know it.
Right. I mean, Omega.
That's it.
You know, I'm like, this conversation is very back and forth and jumping around, because at the end of the day, this is a full series Star Wars talk. It's really difficult.
They could have called it Omega and the Bad Batch, really.
And her epilogue, bro. I mean, not to skip over the finale, which was, you know, magnificent. I mean, the one thing about this show I will give its credit for all the time was that it's damn great looking show.
Oh yeah, no.
Like almost every season.
And the acting is also excellent in this, John, bro. Voice acting.
Bradley Baker, bro. I mean, you know how hard it is for my mans to be jumping around 8 different clones within one conversation. Like, I know he did all the clones for the Clone Wars show, but my man here, he had to turn it up to a different notch.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be the last time we ever hear D. Bradley Baker as a clone, but for some reason, if it is for any particular reason at all, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll look forward to seeing you as Klaus on American Dad all the time, bro.
I also want to say special shout out to Ben Mendelsohn coming back for his involvement with Project Stardust. Shout outs to Rogue One. I loved having him in an animated sense pop up with the vocals. Did you hear that?
When did that happen? You got to remind me, bro. You got to remind me when
Orson, the character that he plays.
He did have that did happen, right?
Up, and he's the one that Tarkin moves the resources over to that project which connects to that Rogue One shit. Bro. And I said, my boy Mendelsohn. I love Mendelsohn, bro. He's one of my favorite villainous characters, but and actors.
And then I mean, I'm gonna butcher the name, Michelle Ong.
Well, yeah, Michelle, just Michelle. You know?
Michelle, you were fantastic as Omega.
You cooked.
You were great.
You are the star.
I love the way you say the name. And so beautiful show, great acting, epilogue, you know, skip over the finale. The epilogue, we get a happy ending in Star Wars, but it's also bittersweet. It's like Clone Wars was so sad, and yet it also kind of felt bittersweet in some sense. Twisted, I know. But here it was like, it's so sad that we missed the happy years, and that we know that this rebellion is just going on.
Yep.
And it's so sad that Hunter, he finds peace within himself with her going to fight. Like, I feel like there's some sadness in the fact that he is okay with letting his sister/daughter go.
Sure.
Because he knows that she needs to make her own choice.
Sure.
And for her, I feel like it's so sad that this call to action is in her heart, because we've only ever known clones as fighters. And so when we see these clones get peace, we want them to keep that peace. But the peace, it doesn't feel real. Rex's peace can't feel real in Rebels. That's why he's has
back.
Flashback.
He's back.
So,
and he's back. I think they were created for battle, bro. That's what they stitched for. And they all, you know, that's another angle with the Bad Batch, right? They have different Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo, Raphael, TMNT. Everyone's got, he's the angry one, and he's the leader, and he's the tech head, and he's the goofball. And they got the stereotypical personalities appearing in the Bad Batch for Force 99. But at the end of the day, bro, doesn't matter how much personality you add, differences, them being a defective batch, being the Bad Batch, they're created for battle. That's what they were made for. So I didn't find it as surprising in its concept, but it is sad. I agree. It's sad. But I also feel like because of the sadness of the decommissioning of clones for the sake of stormtroopers, it's almost like, yeah, fight. Like, I like that for you. It's almost redemptive. There's a redemption.
I love it for her. I love it for her.
So I like that. I like that too. But yeah, his sister going out there and getting involved. What I'm interested in is how Star Wars does this, man. They did it with Ezra. They've done it in other cases. It's like, how is it going to land? You know what I mean? Like, how is it going to land? Are we going
to see you somewhere?
Are you popping up later?
Or do we just know that you're a part of the fight?
You know what I mean?
You know?
Are we gonna see you soon? Or like, is Cal Kestis gonna? Yeah.
Oh, bro.
Like, they do this. This is what Star Wars does. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I'm gonna trust the ride, but I also hope it's not for nothing, because if so, that would be it would cheapen. It would knock that 7 down to like a 6 for me if it was for nothing. If I'm actually honest with you, to be real, it wouldn't rhyme. It would just ride. No,
I think it would rhyme. I think if this is the last we ever see of them, I think it's a step. I think it's a 7 still, because I think the story isn't about where she, like you said, bro. It's about the journey.
But bro, she's seen all. She's seen the whole 9.
Right. And now we know she got to be alone. She got to find the fighter in her and realize that the rest of the galaxy needs her. Because this whole journey has been about getting to a safe spot for them to retire. And now she's like, I can't. Your work can be done, but mine is still out there. I'm needed elsewhere. She's a growing rebel, just like Hera during this age, just like Ezra.
Just like Caleb Doom.
So I'm like, if that's it, I just know you're out there, and I know you are fighting a good fight. But if you do show up, I'll also love that also. it was a moment. It was a moment when the screen faded to black, and then I checked, and I'm like, yo, there's still another 5 minutes left. And then the epilogue starts, and I'm like, yo, Omega's older. Oh, are they gonna undo this happy ending? And it's like, nah, but it's Star Wars, and we always gotta give you a little bit more.
Gotta look at the stars and fight for hope, always.
Right. So I thought it was beautiful. I thought the finale was beautiful. First off, or second off, or whatever off you want to say this is, bro. Rest in piss, Nala say. I'm gonna throw that out there right now. I don't fuck with you. You act like people forgot, bro. Because I see people online like, no. You remember what she did to Fives, bro? Remember her whole plot in that arc? Nah, fuck that bitch. But anyway, she nuked homeboy. I don't even remember his name because I've been calling him Mary Lightly. Because that's Mary Lightly from Psych, dog.
No way.
Voicing this man. Know that. So I've been calling him Mary Lightly this entire run of Bad Batch because I'm just like, Mary Lightly's so silly. He's so funny.
Mary Lightly is crazy. Shout out Psych. If you don't know about that Psych. Suck it.
He got blasted off the bridge. There are people online upset that their commando troop got blasted off the bridge with him because I guess he's some big shot name from somewhere else, the Commandos. Shit happens, bro. Shit happens. You got to get used to the retcons and not being fulfilled and satisfied with somebody, bro. It's part of the journey, unfortunately. Crosshair losing his hand, bro. It's still hitting the shot. That's because he has something to focus on. He needed to keep Omega safe. That was cool shit right there.
I love that whole line in season 2, by the way. Him getting cold and then getting shaky at that. I love that for him. I thought that was deep storytelling, actually, The sniper, what he's known for, what he's made for, what he's created for, what he builds himself on, what he thinks he's big and bad for, because you're heavy, and then boom, he's humble. I love that. So yeah, if he has something to focus on, things to fight for that actually matter, and he's around gang it matters for too. I loved Omega. It ends up being Omega. Omega's the one that brought the hope back for that boy. Let's be real. Yeah.
I love it. I love that they get to look at her and see just
the reason to keep going.
They get to just see that. I just wish I cared about the other members, bro.
I'm with you, dog. I'm right there with you.
Echo I care about forever because I cared about Domino Squad. Okay. So Echo had me before this show, and then I liked him a lot on this show. But like Hunter,
he cool.
He was Rambo, bro. He was the dad of the group. I don't even fully understand his powers till this day. Like electromagnetic fields that he sometimes. Okay, sure. Wrecker, I'm not a fan of stereotype arc-ish type characters. Like he's the big muscly dumb guy, I've seen that so many times. I didn't care about it. But here's the thing, I understand why other people are so attached to this group and that's why they were crying and in shambles because the show was ending. I get it. I do. That wasn't for me. Tech was the nerd. I liked him, but he wasn't in this season.
Right, you undid his thing.
So Crosshair was the highlight besides Omega on this show. And I feel like there might be people that feel that same way. If we don't see the Bad Batch ever again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm going to be lost.
Cry about it.
I'm okay. I'm okay if we don't see him again, like any of them. Omega I would love to see again, but the rest, they cool. Hunter maybe just because I like when the relational connections pop up with characters. So, that I'll feel that. But Bad Batch overall to me 7 out of 10 show. Season 3 I'll give its big credits. It made me care about these characters in ways that I really didn't think that I would. Not saying that they're all in my top anything. And at the end of the day, was season 3 a good conclusion? Yes.
It was great. It was the strongest season of all 3 for sure. Hands down. And it's a welcome piece of Star Wars lore.
Right. I'm always there for the lore. You can add whatever you want. I'm okay with the 6s being added, bro. We got some 5 out of 10s in movies, dog. So I'm okay. with them adding things like that. And you looking over here, but we looking at two different movies. And if I will always have things to look back on. I will always do my rewatches, and I'll hit them, and I'll always hit the things in the order that it's meant to be. So I'll probably watch Bad Batch one day soon. I'll hit the rewatch, and I'll come at it feeling differently. You know, I've only ever watched each season one time. I usually hit things twice before talking about them on the podcast. But Bad Batch, I wanted these thoughts to be out there because I wanted to share, like, as someone who loves Star Wars, here's what it's like when sometimes things don't hit. I still find magic in it. I don't sit here and bitch and moan about.
He's talking to one. Some of y'all, he's talking to
you guys. You guys could have done so much more. Could they? Yeah. But I'm not going to focus on what they could have done. Here's what they gave me. They gave me a found family story about a batch of clones that just wanted to simmer down. And I'm okay with it.
Shut the F up, all right?
Oh, I'm crying because okay.
He said, shut the F up.
If we want to talk about what they should have done, I wanted to see Sid get shot up too, but they didn't do that. But whatever. I can move past that.
Talk about it. All right, So here's my final question for you. I'm hijacking as host for a second.
Take it, bro. Take it.
Like, if we're gonna see the Bad Batch, hypothetically, when would you want to see them? Right? Like, we got to think about it. The next concurrent content for those who are interested, and maybe you don't have that 30,000 foot view of what's next in the timeline. I'm gonna give it to you right now. After Bad Batch, on the video game front, would technically be Fallen Order. Then after Fallen Order, we have the Solo storyline. That's not too far from around that same timeline. Then you got Jedi Survivor on the video game front again. Then Obi-Wan, which we will be talking about this month. Just gave you a sneak peek. Hope you're listening. And then Rebels. So it's like, from now till Rebels, Caleb Doom at the episode 1 of Bad Batch, and then Kanan being a major character in Rebels.
Right. And Hera and Chopper in season 1 also.
But, you know, I just talking about episode 1. Like, where would we see Bad Batch? Where would we see Omega from a theory standpoint? What do you think we're going to get? Because if I see them in the third game of the Survivor, the Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor, if they bring the Bad Batch up, I would be geeked off that. I'll be honest. It would be kind of tough. Well,
right now, Star Wars animation is quiet.
Facts.
We don't have anything, and that's a weird feeling. So something's cooking in a pipeline. I personally think that there's a chance that we get a Star Wars animated show about the clones, or just Rex and his group leading this early stage rebellion. I could see it. Or maybe we get a Tales of the Clones.
Ooh, a Tales of the Clones would be hard.
But in terms of where we might see them next, I can only speak for Omega. Do they bring her to live action? How do you bring a clone of Tim Morrison into live action? That's a woman.
Staying animated.
You know, so we got Omega's brother out there with Boba Fett. They're the same age.
Alpha.
Could we get?
I mean, Omega, Boba. That's so true, actually.
Boba's right, Alpha. Alpha right. is his sign name. So it's like, could we get an animated show that sees them meet somehow? If we see Omega again, does it necessarily have to be post epilogue, or can it come back? You know, I don't know, Ben. I don't know, but something Rebellion related, I'll say, or maybe New Republic. Maybe she'll just pull up one day in a new animated project as like an officer of the Republic who met up with Hera because she knew Hera was part of this, and she's like, "Yo, this gang right here." And then I don't know.
I think we'll get something. We'll get something rebellious, something between Bad Batch and Rebels in an animated fashion that is going to substantiate the rebellion's growth. We'll get some. There's books, we know that, but from a cinematic standpoint, I think it wouldn't be too hard for them to create a batch of episodes talking about the rebellion's birth, like you're saying. So Tales of the Rebellion would be sick.
Maybe.
But I don't want that though. I don't necessarily think I will want a 6-episode anthology of episodes talking about the concept of rebellion. Like, if they're gonna do that, that's cool. But if we're gonna see Omega and we're gonna dive in, then I actually would really enjoy seeing the political tension of the creation of a rebellion from the ground up. I would actually enjoy that a lot.
Yeah.
I think
we need it, bro. We need Bail, Mon Mothma, Rex, Little Leia.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I'm there for it. I'm there for it all. But I mean, you know, this conversation wasn't necessarily structured as similar to other shows that we've done. And I think it fits right with the Bad Batch that it wasn't structured as organized as some of the other things we've talked about. It's a simple conversation, this group of Batch. And I mean, Star Wars month, we've got 2 more weeks left in Star Wars month. We've already sneak peeked 1 episode for you, and I'll let Ivy decide if he wants to sneak peek the other one.
Yeah, I guess it's worth it. If you've been listening, we thank you for joining us on this journey alongside the Force through the month of May. And we started the month with a 101. How do you tap in? And now we've spent a good 3-4 episodes worth of content talking about Star Wars. That's the rest of the month. Next, instead of talking about shows or talking about movies, we want to talk about video games. We want to take you on a journey of the Star Wars video games that may have littered your childhood, like Lego games, Unleashed. We'll be here on Friday, 8 p.m. Central Time, because I'm out here in Texas, and 9 p.m. Eastern. Tune in as we continue to navigate through these pieces of Star Wars. And like we always say, if you know someone that enjoys some good conversation about Star Wars content, just look at the extra one on our YouTube channel. There's dialogue happening. We're talking about this behind the scenes and with people. Join the conversation, share the video, let us know your thoughts. Maybe you think we're absolutely wrong and The Bad Batch is one of the strongest TV shows that's come out. That's fine. Tell us why. We would love to hear it. But we thank you for taking the time to listen to yet another episode of CUZZO-OP, and we've got more down the line for you. The year's planned, we promise. So no, every time that you tap in to an episode of CUZZO-OP, there's a couple things you'll find. You'll find 2 cousins, 1 podcast, and of course, endless entertainment. May the Force be with you.